All right, YouTube, good afternoon. Fat Cat Collections back at you with another watch review. And today this is going to be another one by Invicta. And I wanted to come back and review some of these watches that I purchased over the years that, I've gotten some Invicta watches. And I'll be honest with you, sometimes I see an Invicta watch that I'm like, all right, I have to have it. And, I'm not one who constantly buys, it's not every month or every week I go out and say, I got to get a new Invicta watch. There are tons of styles out there. And I know they're always going to have ones that I'm going to want to buy. And what I did a long time ago, when I started getting some of these other models that I have that, don't always get worn as much as, we all have our favorites. And my favorite Invicta model that they have, it really is the Grand Arsenal and the Sea Hunter 3. Those are really the two that I absolutely love. I don't wear them every day, but hence the reason why I have 8 Grand Arsenals and 4 Sea Hunters, okay? And I like those the most because not only are they the biggest, but I think they're the most, I think, uniquely styled. If we have to go with smaller ones underneath that, the Noma 5 is really my favorite as well when it comes to the smaller ones. But I wear all these watches equally, but there are some that I get and I would part with if, maybe I part with it. If it sits in my safe for a really long time, I don't find myself going to wear it all that much. Sometimes I will sell it. To date, I've only sold one Invicta watch that two Invicta watches that I ever owned. And mainly it was to sell them to recoup my money from in order to buy one that I really wanted, okay? And so sometimes I've also had in the past some watches that I didn't really wear much anymore either now that I got the Invicta Bug and this big dive watch bug by Aragon and Invicta. Those are like my two favorites. You guys know that. So I would sell some of my other watches on eBay and I would take the money and put it towards another watch. And so the one I want to share with you is one of those watches that I did that with. And sometimes I'll just, I'd go on eBay, I say, okay, well, what do they got that's a good price point, do my research. And so I settled on this one here. And this one here is one of the more unique ones I have in my collection. It's really one of the only ones out of my collection that are like this. And this one here is called the Sea Base. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about it once I show it to you here. They make this in a couple different color combinations, and the reason why I went with this is because when I bought it at the time, a lot of the Invicta watches were about the 52 millimeter, and this one here measured in at 33, so it was one of the more bigger ones that they had at the time. Let's face it, a lot of them have gotten bigger and bigger, and this is before I picked up the was this before that? No, this is before I really had a lot of the Sea Hunters and stuff like that. But I liked the way it looked, and what I liked about it was the combination of the titanium and the rose tone. And so let's talk a little bit about this watch. This is a limited edition model by Invicta. This one's a little bit more unique. Invicta's kind of known for using their flame fusion crystal. This is one of the few Invictas that I've seen that actually uses a sapphire crystal on it. I'm not really sure why they did that in this particular one, but they do use a sapphire crystal. The water resistance on this is 3,300 feet or 1,000 meters. Very, very interesting watch. It's the only titanium watch I have in my collection, and I've always, guys, I'm more flashy. I tend to gravitate more towards the gold and the shiny stuff, but I did want a kind of a matte finished graphite watch in my collection, and I love the way the titanium looks. Another thing I really liked about this watch is the fact that it does have your helium release valve. I always like that. I just think it's a cool feature. Nothing I'll ever use, but I just like the fact that it has it. Screw down crown and pushers on this, which is what a lot of Invicta watches have. And just again, the titanium and that titanium look and that rose tone, I think it's just a really interesting color combination. Another thing I really liked about it was that the fact it's a limited edition. This is number 165, 199 made. This is a very difficult watch to get if you want to get your hands on it. You're going to be paying right now. There's only 2 available on eBay, and they're going to run you about $360 to $400. This is not available in a lot of places. Now, it was made in a couple different color combinations. You had your, again, they're all titanium in this one here, which is weird because like Invictas are so heavy, and you throw the titanium on it, it's a lot lighter weight. You have your black and rose tone. You have your black and gold tone. I'm sorry, black and gold tone, black and rose tone. Your titanium and gold, rose tone gold. And then, of course, you have your titanium and yellow tone gold. This one here uses one of my most favorite Ronda movements. It's a Swiss-made movement, quartz watch, of course, but this one here is the 8040N. And what I like about this is that this one has the big day of the month window on the bottom right there. And of course, you have on top that hand right over here on top. See that arc? And that's your retrograde day of the week. And what happens there is once you get to Sunday, is that right? Once you get to Saturday, that'll actually snap back to Sunday. It's just one of my favorite movements on the watch, or on any of the Invicta watches that I've owned, with the exception of the Master Calendar. I really like this movement. I just like the way it looks, and I really love that retrograde date. It is a chronograph as well, and you do have a unidirectional rotating bezel. Again, I just did a video on bezels, and this one here is an easier one to turn compared to some of the other Invictas. Again, pointless. I never use it ever, other than, I mean, maybe I'll use it like if I want to take a break, I'll put it on, the time I leave and then go 15 minutes or half an hour or whatever. I kind of use it like almost like a stopwatch, really. One thing I do like about this one too is that you have a lot of trinite lume, huge markers on all your hour markers there. Lots of glow in this watch here. It does get pretty bright, although you're not going to be able to see that in the video. Now, the only other thing about this too is sometimes the trinite on some of these watches is a different color. Some glow a really bright green. This one here is more of that dark blue, which definitely is not as bright as some of your standard Invicta watches, but nonetheless, it still has it and it still glows pretty well. Screw down case back on this, and on the back you have your C-base logo. It's going to be really hard to see, but I'm going to try to show it to you anyway. And you have your standard Invicta clasp on the back right here. There are some micro adjustments on the side, although you have about 3 different positions. And again, snapping clasp and fold over lock. And I do like what they've done in the lock on this. They've kind of carved it out where it's a little bit different than some of the other Invicta models that they have. A lot of these don't have that extra piece on there, so I do like that they've done that. And again, titanium, extremely lightweight, and definitely a good looking watch. A lot different than anything else I have in my collection. Now this watch is almost like new, and I will say on this particular model, and I'm always honest with you guys, this is one of the few models I have that when you look at the back of the band, there is a teeny bit of wear. A couple spots where the rose tone or the rose gold coating is actually kind of wearing off a little tiny bit. Not much, very, very subtle, but on the actual titanium part of this watch, that's just got a few minor scratches, because this is actually the color of the raw titanium. You're just going to get a little bit of a different, I guess you'll get a little bit of a scratch because this is more of a matte finish or a sandblasted finish. So you're going to get a little bit of a change once that kind of scratches a little bit. But nonetheless, it's held up pretty well, but I haven't really worn this watch all that much. So it would definitely, to be honest with you, make me kind of think maybe twice about if I'm looking for the longevity of the finish. If that's a real concern to you, and I think it's a concern for everybody who buys a watch. Let me just make sure that is what that is. Yeah, I would just be a little bit concerned with the fact that this has not been worn all that much, and the rose tone coating on this has come off a little tiny bit on your wear points, where your watch is rubbing on potentially a button on the inside of your jacket. I've had that happen, and over time anything will actually wear. But when you start getting involved in the coatings that are actually like the ones that are more of your traditional rose tone and gold coatings, like on my other models, I have not experienced anything like that. So I think it's just something to do with maybe the way that the coating actually sticks to titanium. Nonetheless, though, it's a fantastic watch. Things are meant to be worn, they're meant to be enjoyed, and you're going to get a few scratches on it. You know what I mean? This does happen no matter what watch you're wearing. Like I said, I have watches that are like very, very inexpensive. A couple replica watches I got like, oh my god, like 15 years ago, that you don't even know what they're even made out of, which makes me like, I don't really wear them anymore. It's like, guys, what is this thing actually made out of? But the coating still held up really well over the years. So, the Invicta watches always pride themselves on having a very, very reliable coating. I think, like I said, with the exception of this one here, I think the titanium is definitely not something that likes to be plated. And so, this would have been nice if they would have kept this all raw titanium. I would have definitely got it anyway. But nonetheless, I'm still happy that I have it. It's a very, very interesting design. The C-base is definitely something that I don't think they're making anymore. If you try to find this watch, it's going to be, like I said, a hard one to find. You have that, again, that huge depth, 3,300 feet of water resistance, helium release valve, that 80/40 chronograph movement, and again, movement. Remember, guys, when it says Swiss made, they always say movement country of origin. The watch is not made in Switzerland. And I can tell you there are hundreds of watch brands out there that say Swiss made that are not made in Switzerland. The movement is either assembled or made with some Swiss parts, which gives them the ability to say Swiss made. Everybody does stuff. Not everybody, but lots of brands do that. Sometimes I say everybody. Lots of brands do that. And I'm not going to point fingers at anybody, but it's pretty common. It does not mean you're not getting an exceptional, beautiful timepiece. So let's go ahead and throw in the wrist. Now I'm about 5'7.5". I weigh about 170 pounds as of right now, and I have a 7-inch wrist. So naturally, these watches always look really big on me. Again, definitely more of a play down style. Definitely not your traditional over the top, shiny, flashy, abalone and mother of pearl. Definitely a downplayed watch. That titanium. It's just a matte finish. It's very, very subtle, but I think it is a very, very unique looking timepiece. And I am, like I said, I am glad I have it in my collection. 53 millimeters. I'm glad that it is that size because with Invicta, they like to kind of keep the cap at 52. And then once you go past that, there's very little in between 52 and just humongous, like your 63 or your 58. So it's nice that they did this watch in this size. If you're looking for something in this 53 millimeter, 54 millimeter size, they do make a Grand Diver in the 54, which I've been wanting to pick up, but the Grand Diver is more of a simpler designed watch, and I kind of like things that are a little bit more unique. And nonetheless, if they had the right color combination, I'd consider it. But the Grand Divers definitely are kind of more like this Alexander watch. They're more subtle. Although this is believe it or not, one of my favorite watches as well. You can see they're not, it's more of your traditional styled dress / dive watch. I'll show you a couple more shots here. And guys, I hope the lighting's good. It's a pretty overcast day. I got all the lights on here, but I got 200 LEDs shine at this thing here, but doesn't always mean you're going to get to see it really well. For you bezel lovers. Alright folks, well there it is. That's a C-base by Invicta. Model number on this, I always forget to tell you guys. Again, it's going to be a hard one to find. If you want to get this one, you're going to be paying about $360 to $400 for it. Model number on this particular one is going to be, looks like 14257. Let me just double check that. Give me 1 second, folks. Yeah, so if you get in your the gunmetal and gold, I guess when I said black, that I meant gunmetal. Gold tone and titanium, 14255. Rose tone, this one here, 14257. I'll say the other ones too. Gunmetal and gold, 14259, and gunmetal and rose tone, 14261. If you were to go ahead and just go to eBay, let me just see if they have anything. Just if I go looking under C-base Invicta. I know in this color combination you got 2 on there right now. They have a couple with the poly bands, however, I'm not a big fan of poly. Yeah, doesn't look like there's much on here. So I encourage you to click the link, check it out. You can definitely find more, like I said, in the poly band, but that's not my cup of tea. I don't really care for poly bands. Oh, they do have one on here. This is a pretty good deal, guys. This one here is actually sponsored. Let me see where this is at. They do have one on here for $259. That one's in the rose tone and gunmetal. So that's not a bad deal. Limited edition as well. I'm not sure if they put the number on here. They don't have the number, but you might be able to see it. Let's see what they say on here. Well, that's kind of weird. You know, what's funny about this particular listing is it says limited edition, but when you look at the pictures, the one I have actually says right on the face the model, the limited edition number. This one does not. So just kind of be a smart shopper. Here is the same watch. Looks like this one's just a little bit different. It's very, very similar, but this one here actually uses a different movement. So maybe they opted not to put the number on here. Here's another one, 196. Yeah, just be a smart shopper, guys, like I always say. This one here is from a company, different company. It's through eBay, though. And that one still does not say... Oh, this one, okay, so it does say... It probably says it on the back, whereas this one here, the model numbers I told you with this movement actually say on the front of the watch as well, which I kind of like the fact it does. So, I don't know. Like I said, guys, check out the links in the description if you want to get it. Remember, again, be a smart shopper. And as always, have a great day, guys. Take care.